Good morning, everybody.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back.
I hope everybody's doing good today. We're just going to give it a minute or two just to let everybody join. Okay. Welcome to another Mastering B2B Marketing free webinar series hosted by Shift One Digital. Today, we are covering the very exciting topic of lead generation in a B2B space. Once again, I am joined by the amazing Irma Karsten. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Kohlstadt, CEO of Shift One Digital Marketing Academy. And I've got 20 odd years in marketing and digital marketing, and Shift One Digital is a full-service B2B digital marketing agency. Irma, do you want to introduce yourself for those who haven't had the pleasure of meeting you yet?
Hi, good morning, everybody. So I head up Digital Marketing Academy. I'm working with strategies for our clients, but also imparting knowledge and training them up in all things digital marketing. So also not giving away my age, but also a heap of experience, many years of experience in digital marketing, different industries, different companies. So yeah, we're excited to have you. Yeah, thanks for joining.
Amazing. So as I said, we're going to be covering B2B lead generation. And this, I think, is one of the number one needs of our clients that come to us. Yeah, we are definitely a B2B lead generating agency. It's our speciality. And we've spent a lot of time in this space, knowing what works and what doesn't work. So it's our goal to share this with you today. So I hope you got your pens and your papers ready. So if you have missed out on any of our previous B2B webinars, go ahead and check out, go to our website. There's a big green button there. Go and check out some of our past recordings, because we're building up a really nice library on B2B marketing that you should check out. So let's talk about B2B lead generation. How do you drive sales from all of your marketing activities? And maybe you've joined us as an entrepreneur. Maybe you've joined us as a marketing manager. Maybe you're in the social media space. But at the end of the day, we've summarized it down to 12 effective steps for B2B lead generation, which we're going to take you through in a bit of detail. So we are first going to be looking at your audiences. How do you create compelling content? How do you optimize your website? How are you going to leverage social media? How do you create effective email marketing to support this B2B lead generation ecosystem that you're building here? You've got to invest in your SEO. You've got to switch on your paid ads. You can maybe look at an appointment setting service, B2B influencer marketing, maybe some events and webinars. And then obviously you need to take care of the customers after the sale, and metrics and analytics has to underpin everything that you do. You are a marketing technologist. When you are in marketing today, you've got to be a marketing technologist. So we're going to be taking you through to all of these in lightning speed, because we've only got an hour with you and we do not want to be wasting your time. So I'm going to hand over to Irma, because as always, we're going to bang on about the target market table and your audiences. So Irma.
Thanks, Dylan. So yes, we always start off our webinars with understanding our audiences. And those of you who may have attended some of our previous webinars, yes, we do come back to this always, but it's very important to really know who is that person on the other side of the screen that you are creating content for, and who are those people that we want in our lead pipelines, right? Because in a B2B environment, we don't have only one person making the decision. Like in a B2C environment, there's usually a chain of command, and usually different role players who make these decisions. So we often work with financial decision makers or legal decision makers or your technical buyers. If you are in the technology space, there's often the users, right? So that's where we need to be really clear. If you can maybe just move on to the next one, Dylan, that'll be great. Where we need to know, just the previous one. Sorry about that. My screen was not synced with yours. So we often need to decide in terms of where are your ideal customers? What is the size of the business that you want on board? And also, because the decision makers in a startup or a small business or an enterprise take different aspects into account when they make their decisions. So it's very, very important for us to know who are those people, right? What are their job titles? What do they earn? What is the company's revenue annually? because a $1 million or a $1 billion company, decision-making processes are completely different to a affiliate or a partner when they decide to partner up with your company or not. And that's where we need to be really clear about what is it that they're looking for from your solution. What are their needs? So we always talk about the storytelling. We're never the hero in our story anymore. Your customer becomes the hero. So then we can move on to where do we find them in terms of the channels they are on? What do they look like? So you can just move along. Thanks, Dylan. Then also we want to talk about, we need to think about our audiences in terms of, in 2000 or 2023, where we are right now, the age groups are also changing. Millennials are moving up into senior roles. We have the Gen X's and the Gen Z's and, all of these different generations entering the workplace. And the way they actually make their decisions are completely different. So that's where our content marketing actually helps to generate the right leads. And the buying cycles in a B2B environment is usually very long or longer than in a B2C environment. So there are quite a few things that help with the decision making. Your website is certainly one of your key assets. Attending things like webinars, and we're going to talk about a few of the tactics, how to actually get in front of your right audiences. So what do they look like? Do you have a persona sheet like the one we've created for you as an example? What are the interests? What are the decision making? And it's more than just the demographics, right? Demographics are important, but it's more about what problem do you need to solve for this person that is in a key role? And that is where we need to be really, really clear about the content we create to help them through this process. So, Dylan, do you want to talk us a little bit about talk us through the content, creating compelling content then that lines up with our personas?
Yes, thank you so much, Irma. So it's all about creating, once you know your audiences, and that target market table that we've just shared with you on the chat is so key, because you can add a column in there for lead generation. Once you know the need of your audience, you can speak to that need. You can set up specific ad campaigns. You can create social media content or webinars or white papers specifically for one audience and one need. So, you cannot start in an unstructured way. You can't just start your marketing. Everything starts with your personas and your target market table. Everything. And then you can't just smush everything together. Your content has to address the challenges and needs of each target audience, and then knowing that this piece of content is targeted at this audience, you can actually boost it to that audience. So you make sure that audience sees it, and then using your pixels, and you can then remarket to that audience and bring them further down the funnel. Knowing that this is specifically for this group of customers who have this need. And then once they start doing a bit of research, maybe they go further down the funnel and their needs become slightly more specific, and you can actually create content there and serve it to them all the way through their digital experience. So, starting with blog posts, white papers, because your goal out there is to harvest email addresses. Email addresses are gold, because I may follow you on social media, but I didn't happen to log in that day, and I didn't happen to see your post, and it's gone. And I didn't see it, and you didn't boost it, and so I never saw it. And so don't think that you're reaching me even though I follow your page. So, but I subscribe to your mailing list, and therefore when you sent out your mailer, it landed in my inbox. I may delete it without reading it, but I saw the subject line, which is why subject line is one of the most important things. I saw your subject line, you come back to top of mind awareness, and it's email that can really pull our customers further down the funnel. I have a lot of people who've subscribed to our mailing list who say things like, I've been following you for 2 years and now I'm finally ready to buy. Some people take a really long time to make a decision. So definitely make sure that you are creating these assets and these hooks that you can actually capture people with. But before you create any content, we're going to go on again about your story brand and, workshopping your messaging. If you don't have a clear and compelling message, which most of our clients do not have when they land with us, they either have too many messages or they just have really boring messages that say how great they are and what they do. And, You've got to sit with myself or with Irma or one of the strategists at Shift One, or sit by yourself and do this by yourself, but take the time. And I wouldn't actually say sit by yourself, because the key value comes in sitting with senior management and everybody aligning on this key message. What is our one big, bold statement that we can go to market with? Like, what are our needs? And you should actually do this for each service, for each target market, for each product that you sell, for each brand that you have. You need to be having these, you need to have a very, very clear and compelling message. So do take the time to do that as well. Target market table, brand story, it's absolute bread and butter for you. And then you could go and say, and this funnel you need to create per audience. Per audience, you need to create a funnel. Per product, per audience, you need to say, okay, people who are just discovering me, what are their questions? Maybe they want evaluations. Maybe they want assessments. What kind of content can we create that's top of funnel? People who are still like exploring and trying to understand. And this gives you a very good guide as to all of this stuff. This is lead generation, guys. This is lead generation. You know, it's not just ads. There is so much you can be doing to create a lead generation ecosystem. And don't just think, with like a one-track mind, I'm just going to switch on ads and that's where my lead generation comes from. It's not. And then people who are in the consideration phase, they've done a little bit of research, so they have different questions. Now they want to know if they can trust you. Now they need case studies. Now they need proof. And they're in the decision-making stage, and all of this stuff needs marketing technology to track so that you know where people are. You need your CRM in place. You absolutely need your tracking in place. You need to make sure that you are able to track people through the funnel. But, you know, videos, events, looking after your paid media, social media, earned media, all of this stuff is important in creating this ecosystem. And as I said before, you're going to be creating these great articles. You're going to be writing these amazing pieces. You're going to have design infographics. You're going to embed video into them. And you're going to email gate it. So in other words, you've created this amazing survey. You're not just going to give it away for free. You're actually going to ask people to give their email address so that they can get this asset that you've created, because it's so desirable. They're going to give the email address because it so meets their needs. It's a checklist, or it's a setup guide, or it's a best practice guide, or it's a survey, it's knowledge, it's insights. It's you're giving away some secret sauce. And people will definitely give you their email address, and then they can go into your email loop. And again, one of the companies that does this very well is HubSpot. Go and check them out. They don't just sell CRM. They have a full training academy. They give away a lot of content, and they do this very, very well. We've done this for a couple of our B2B clients, you know, creating articles. Each thought leader gets a turn to create, each subject matter expert gets a turn to, you know, we interview them, we get the content out of them, we write it up, it goes on their LinkedIn, it goes up on the website. So you can actually, when on the About Us page, you can read about them, you can find out what they think about you. And plus we do a video on each of these subject matter experts as well. We create these assets that can go in the email footer. Find out more about me and my expertise. Here's watch a video or read the article. So there's so much that you can do in this space to create compelling content, and video is an absolute given these days. Not everybody likes to read. Not everybody likes to watch. You have to do both. Read and embed, have the written piece, and then embed the blog as well. Those are pretty much key. So yeah, as I said, video is key. And I do like this survey's example, because I do think people like this annual 2023 guide to your service or report. So you get a whole bunch of your clients and prospects to fill out the survey, and then you generate every year, you turn it into a report, and that's a downloadable asset that people sign up for every year, because they want, you become the benchmark that's measuring the industry. And it starts with a survey, you create it into a nice report, people want to see it every single month, and it also helps you create great content and establishes you really as the thought leader in the space. So I can go on for quite a long time, but I'm going to hand over to Irma to chat about websites.
Thanks, Dylan. So you've heard us say this before. If you've attended any of our previous webinars, all digital paths lead back to the website, right? So that's where conversion happens. That's where lead generation happens. You know, we utilize all of the different channels we use social, and we use email to follow up. But everything leads back to the website where the contact forms are completed, or where conversion happens in the form of subscription, depending on the service that you offer. What is it? And the very big question is, you need to go and visit your website often. Look at it from a perspective from your personas, right? What do they actually find when they get onto your website? What do you need them to do? What is that ultimate action where they need to be led to? Do they need to sign up to an email or subscribe? What is it that they need to do? Is it clear? Do they need, can they actually convert in as few clicks as possible? Because that is what we also need to take into consideration, right? Once they've seen all of this amazing content, we then need to lead them down a path to get them to where they need to be. And that's where your website, we often see this with our clients. They try and cram so much information onto their website just in case we miss out on somebody, right? But you need to craft your message very, very carefully. What is the journey? Is it clear? Is there a call to action on every single page? Can you actually navigate your different personas into different sections of your website very easily? Right. And that's where we often need to step out of our zone from our perspective and look at your website from your user's perspective. Right. So that's also where we need to take all of those keywords, the way they search, into consideration. A financial buyer persona would search very differently for your products and services and your solution than a legal persona would, or a production manager would, or a procurement manager would, because different things matter to them in their roles. So that's where your homepage actually needs to tell your audience very simply, and we have an example that we can show you in a second now, how this is the solution they've been looking for, right? And that's where we use the story brand methodology. So our technician will just put the link back into the chat. If you haven't read Building a Story Brand yet, it's the best marketing book you will ever read. And that's where we actually, on your homepage, should very carefully or clearly say to your audience, we understand what your problem is. The example on your screen is from a data protection and fraud prevention and cybersecurity company, very niched, right? So we speak to the audiences and tell them, we understand what your challenges are, so we understand what it is that you're looking for. So as we take them through this process and through this language and journey, we can then say, okay, we understand what your problems are, right? And this is how we solve them. So show them. You can just click a little bit further. Thanks, Dylan. You can then just show them how you help your clients, but use their language. Use their language in terms of what it is that they are looking for. How can our solution make you the hero in your story? How can our solution help you to become successful? So it's never about your company or your brand anymore. It's about understanding what your persona needs to be successful, to actually then lead them to success. So we briefly on the homepage say, right, this is your problem. We understand that. This is how we can solve your problem. These are our solutions, but then have a very clear call to action. So in the meantime, maybe you're not ready yet, but maybe you need to sign up to our email list, or our email subscription, or make an appointment, but have a very clear call to action so they can actually start diving into this process. So we need to be very clear about what actually do we need, and then capture those leads. Make it possible for your audiences to give you their details. And that is at the heart of lead generation. And as Dylan said earlier, your email list is your most valuable digital asset, because your email list belongs to you or your company. Social media platforms come and go. They can close down tomorrow, then your followers are gone, right? But your email list is the most cost-effective way to actually guide your leads down this funnel and get them to convert, right? And get them to take action. So always, we always say, high up in the funnel, we make it easy for our audiences to engage with our content. Make it easy to find us. Be visible on social, be visible everywhere. But as we now qualify them into leads, we kind of create these barriers to entry, which may sound like a negative term, but we want their contact details so we can start conversation. That's what leads are about, is to actually have the opportunity to start conversations. Right, so that's where, thank you, Dylan. So Dylan's going to talk to us about how we then utilize social media in a B2B environment, which is often controversial. Our clients often don't think social media can be valuable in a B2B space, but Dylan's going to show you or tell you how.
Absolutely. Thank you, Irma. And to go back to our target market table, if you don't know what the needs are of that specific audience, you are not going to be able to create content that people want to download. So sometimes as marketers, or even as, CEOs, we are not close to our audience. We actually don't speak to them. So is it possible to listen to calls from the call center? Is it possible to actually sit in and listen to go on some sales visits, go to your clients' houses or offices and watch them using the product? Because you will get so many insights. Get up off your butt and go out there and actually see what the pain points are for each of your audiences, so that you can create content that people want to download and want to give you an email address for. So exactly to Irma's point, I would say that social media, and maybe you didn't notice, but these are steps. Like, this is the order we suggest. So step 4, social media. We haven't said ads yet. We've said create social media. And exactly as per Irma's point, I think most of my clients are like, the social media is not giving us sales, but social media is not a tool to generate sales. It is a tool to support sales. It can get you sales inquiries, but if you don't have it, you're definitely not going to be a contender in the sales conversation, because people look at your website, then they look at your social content. They want to know, what are you talking about? And obviously here LinkedIn is absolutely key, but don't discount even your Facebooks for finding some clients out there, because as Irma said in the last talk, you'll see some CEOs are sitting on Facebook and can actually be reached. So some of your audiences can be found on Facebook. But it's important, I think, for each brand to build a strong presence, create compelling content, share valuable content, participate in industry discussion, make sure that you are creating thought leadership content, and you've got to sit with your subject matter experts. You've got to sit with them because they know the deep stuff that you don't know. Your content's always going to be shallow. So us as marketers, we can only create content as deep as the access that we have into the business. If you want your marketing agency to create amazing, deep content, not just this shallow stuff, you have to give us deep access into the business. And that means letting us speak once a month. This is what I ask all our clients. Let us meet once a month with a subject matter expert, not just the marketing manager or not just the CEO or whoever we're dealing with, because it's the subject matter experts that have the deep knowledge that are going to be able to give us these amazing insights that we can go and create content. They're going to tell us what's trending, what the customers' questions are. And that's really, really where it's going to, your content's going to just pop out of, above the ordinary. So as we said last time, make sure that you are using your platforms. Each platform has a slightly different personality. You can't just bang out the same content on every platform. It should be slightly different per platform, really, really meeting the need of each platform. Because someone on Facebook has a very different need, and Instagram, to someone on LinkedIn. But you can definitely use those platforms for your business. So mix it up what you're creating. So a little bit of video, some interviews, some behind the scenes. People love the human stories. So they love to see that this staff member completed this course, or you were here on you were traveling here, or what happened after this client meeting, or who did you meet that was interesting. So definitely mix up your content so it's not just the same kind of thing, because that does become extremely, extremely repetitive. I'm going to hand over to Irma to talk to us about step 5, which is effective email marketing.
Thanks, Dylan. Yeah, so as we spoke about earlier, that this is where the real relationship building starts. So in a B2B environment, it's really pretty much about relationship building. And I'm sure all of you in a B2B space will agree with us. Your clients have their specific account managers or relationships with people in your company that, that's actually where the sales happen. So email marketing, the power of email marketing is also the personalization, right? And that is the key in this digital world that we are in. With so many tools coming at us and information coming at us and coming to your clients and actual clients, they need to feel that, like they are a real human being and that your company actually care about them. So thanks, Dylan. Let's look at step 5. If you could just click us to the next slide. We then need to make sure that personalization, as we see on the slide, is not just the first name. It's not hi, Adam. It's also referring to content they may have downloaded or products or services that they are currently using. referring to very specific information. You have all of that. Speak to your sales team. Speak to the sales team where the data is, right? Speak to, how you can actually address your audiences and address their specific needs. They may have a subscription that needs to be renewed very soon. So use that as a personalized, aspect in the mail. Make sure that you also know which emails are being sent to your clients. They may be receiving system emails in between your marketing emails and your personalized emails. Make sure that they align. Make sure that the language is similar in all of your email messages. But from a lead generation perspective, this is where we actually need to give valuable content to our audiences. I had this conversation with a client yesterday. B2B tech space, but they keep running ads, awareness ads, and then suddenly jump into lead generation ads, right? And then I asked the question, so where are your mailers? Where's the personalized, relationship building in this process? So make sure that you invite your clients to events, invite them to webinars. Webinars are fantastic lead generation tools. You may find that you are advertising a webinar, you may get 100 registrations. They need to give their email addresses to register, but they are interested in your content. But even though only 50% of them may show up, you have their email address. So you can start this conversation. We're sorry that you didn't attend our webinar, but here's a link to the recording and a tool that you can use. And that's how we build these relationships, right? So also make sure that your email tool or your email service provider or your system that you use is linked to your CRM so that you can tailor the content. We don't just send out a bulk emailer to the whole list. Because what is important to an existing client is certainly not important to a client who haven't converted yet, right? So that's super important to have those nurturing or drip emails where we actually lead them through this process, right? And also our emails help to get them back onto the website where conversion happens. So emails are a fantastic way to prompt action and to prompt conversion. Right. Dylan, anything to add with emails? Have I left anything out?
No, I'm a huge fan of emails. I agree with you. If your CRM is junk and a big fat mess and there's a whole smoosh of all mixed people, it's very difficult to get that kind of a junk database to convert. We've got clients with massive databases and it's all just a big fat smoosh. Like we don't know who is who. We don't know which products and services people are interested in. We don't know which countries they're from. And that kind of data is really not useful unless you're sending a very generic, broad messaging. And as Irma said, it's personalization that gets results. The more relevant, the more results. The two R's go together, relevance and results. And
something, sorry.
Irma?
Nobody cares about your newsletter, right? So please don't send out newsletters. Nobody cares, right? Your audience wants personalized, helpful, relevant information. Send them guides, send them reports, send them tips to help them be successful in their roles. Please, whatever you call your email marketing, just don't call it a newsletter. Nobody cares.
And please change your subject every single time. I do not want to see the same subject every single time. You got to tell me what's in the mailer, otherwise I'm not opening it. So if you've got a big smoosh of a database, take some time, clean it up, remove people who are not opening your mailers and clean that database up, and rather start with a smaller base and so that you can start your segmentation, get your CRM in place. It's very, very, very important. In the B2B space, we're dealing with smaller markets, smaller audiences, and you can be organized. So definitely put that on your prioritization list. Auto mailers, I'm a big fan of auto mailers, and I'm a big fan of email drip campaign software and setting up auto sales mailers, which are personalized and written to each person. So I'm a big fan of that. Yeah. So I'm going to chat to you a little bit about SEO. As you know, I'm a big fan of SEO, big fan. I'm constantly in the Shift One website, optimizing pages myself, creating new content pages, researching keywords, because I personally see the results in our business and in our clients' business. We've got case study after case study of very, very basic SEO we've done for some clients for 6 months, and then they switched it off. And within 2 years, their entire business was transformed literally from zero to hero, all thanks to the SEO. And it wasn't even a lot of SEO that we did. So I'm telling you, I swear by SEO. So definitely be optimizing your website, because as I always say, invest in SEO. It's an investment. Your paid ads are not an investment, because when you switch them off and you stop paying Google's not your friend. Google's not going to be generous and kind and keep some ads running because you're struggling and going through a hard time now. But your SEO is your friend because it will always be there working for you. And every year your page ranks better because it's older and has more page equity. So definitely be investing in your SEO. So yeah, research your keywords, make sure that you have a page created for anything you want to rank for, set up your hierarchy and architecture of information, make sure you've embedded video into these pages from YouTube. Make sure that you've got your infographics and that you've used your on-page SEO and your off-page SEOs properly and in place. Make sure you've got good content and be adding to your pages every couple of months. Go into your pages that aren't ranking and add to them, and go to the pages that are ranking and add to them. Like, you've got to be nurturing and loving your web pages. Otherwise, Google sees that you're neglecting them, and then it thinks, well, if she doesn't love her own website, why should I love it? So it does take time to rank, but it's so amazing, and it's basically free. It's just effort. So either it's your effort or it's our effort. But once you've done your SEO, it literally just brings in the juice. So let's talk about some paid ads, Irma, because now that I've got my target market table and I've optimized my website and I've got my social media content going and I'm creating great content, I've got some downloadables and I've got my SEO in place. Now it's time to switch on some ads.
Great, thanks, Dylan. So you said it beautifully. SEO is a long-term investment, where ads can actually give you short-term results. So there are pros and cons to both. But if you notice the steps, right, ads are only step 7 in this process. We often kick off with ads, right? And I am exactly this client that I had the conversation with yesterday. They are banging on about their ads, but they're not paying attention to any of the other steps or any of the other channels. Now they're wondering why their ads are not giving them the results. Because exactly that, the moment your ads are switched off, the results stop. So if you could just click us to the next slide. Thanks, Dylan. What is very important from a B2B perspective? Now, there are multiple types of ads that we can run, but Google ads are fantastic because your Google ads are not intrusive. I always say this. Social media ads can be intrusive because we often target based on the interests or what we think our audiences may be interested in. But your Google ad will only show up when it's relevant to what your audience is searching for, right? So that's why Google ad is fantastic in this lead generation process, right? And that's also where we need to strike a balance. So when you have maybe newly renovated your website, invested in SEO, remember that SEO will take time before it will actually start paying off, right? But in the meantime, your search ads or your pay-per-click ads or Google ads can help to get traffic onto your site until your site ranks organically. But be very careful. I see this with my clients all the time. They rely so heavily on their Google ads, but there needs to be a balance. At some stage, your organic traffic needs to actually drive the traffic to your website, and then you should start pulling back on your Google ad budget, right? That's where you can, once you've reached that point, you can actually allocate some of your Google budget into other platforms too. But it helps to generate traffic to your website first in terms of ads. It helps from the beginning to the middle to the bottom of the funnel, where we can actually then use pixels or cookies or track our audiences once they visited your website to get them back to convert. Remember, we sometimes focus on the wrong metrics as well. It's great to have 100,000 new visitors onto your website every month, but new visitors don't convert. In a B2B space, returning visitors convert. And that's where we use remarketing campaigns. So it needs to be a balance between your different advertising channels. And that's where the social ads then become important. So once you gained or got the traffic of your users onto your site, they've engaged with some of your content, you can definitely craft a very personalized remarketing message on social media. Start with your email campaign. So it's all an integrated approach. None of these approaches are actually isolated from one another. It actually needs to be so integrated. But when last, I need to ask you this question. When last have your paid social team had a meeting with your SEO team? Do they speak to one another? Does your social team know which keywords or topics or topic clusters to include into the content? Do they know that? more often than not, the answer is no, right? They absolutely should be in the same room. Whether you're running Google ads, social ads, email campaigns, writing blog articles, shooting video content, all of your marketing team members should be, very clearly aligned in terms of who are we creating content for and what are we trying to achieve. So that's also where we need to be very clear in this journey. And you can just click to the next slide. Thanks, Dylan. Where the different types of ads, in terms of LinkedIn, are fantastic for remarketing and getting your users down this funnel, right? LinkedIn ads are expensive. So your cost per result is much higher than any other social platform, but your quality is much better because your targeting options are so specific that you can actually get your ad right in front of that persona that you've crafted and identified, right? And that's where you can actually block out the wrong audiences, because nobody wants 100 leads that are unqualified, that waste time, that waste your sales team's time. And LinkedIn ads can actually qualify and filter out those quality leads so that you can close them, right? And actually return them into sales or turn them into sales. Again, I had this conversation with a client yesterday, and they asked about the cost per lead. What is a generic benchmark or good cost per lead? And my response was, in a B2B environment, I would pay up to 500 or 1,000 Rand per lead in South African context. I don't know if we have overseas visitors in this call, but I would invest much more in the lead, because in a B2B environment, you actually make your money 1,000 times over when it converts into a sale. So that's where we need to be very clear about this funnel. LinkedIn is probably not the best channel for awareness ads, right? I hardly ever run awareness ads on LinkedIn because your cost per result is too expensive. So we start our awareness on Google ads, right? Remarket to exactly the right audience via your pixel, people who have engaged with your content through LinkedIn. Follow up with your email marketing, right? So that's where it's super important to know your audiences. Facebook is a fantastic tool for remarketing. Probably not a good tool for awareness ads for a B2B audience, right? They're probably not going to look for your solution on Facebook in the first place, but they may visit your website and then have time over the weekend when a well-crafted, personalized Facebook message then shows up to actually then engage, read your content, spend time on your website. So these are real people, right? We need to think about where they spend time, how they engage. And that's where your paid ads actually needs to address the different stages in the funnel as well. Just relying on a LinkedIn ad or just relying on a Google ad, it's not going to solve your problem. It's always integrated.
Yeah, and if I can just jump in and say it does take time, because that's the other problem that our clients have, is they want to see results in week one, and they're upset that, there's a little bit of junk coming through, even though I've warned them. When you throw the net out the first time, you catch a lot of small fish and a lot of weird fish, and some, and we don't harm dolphins in our marketing efforts. We release. And so you're throwing that net out and you hope to catch the big fish, but it takes time. And so I always say at least 3 months, and every single day you're sweating to see, who's the wrong audience. Can we remove the wrong audiences? Testing our messaging, be patient, work at it, put the money there. Do not give up, because that's the other problem is some of our clients want to switch the whole thing off after just like 2 weeks, or say, pause everything, panic stations. It takes time, guys. This is why we are the experts. It's very scientific. And I actually say that most marketers cannot or should not be running their own paid media. Like, give it to a paid media expert, because it's highly, 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 highly specialized. Some of our bosses expect us to be able to do everything, and some people can. So Irma, just tell us about social selling quickly.
Yeah, so social selling is a fantastic cost-effective tool, right, to activate your sales team, your employees as brand ambassadors, right? It's actually not negotiable. Your sales team should be active on LinkedIn. Their profiles should be optimized, because your salespeople are often the customer-facing team members, right? They are the people that your clients are going to engage with, or your account members, right? Your account managers. So that's where it's very, very important to utilize social selling and reaching out proactively, right? That's the beauty of social selling, is where we utilize a tool like LinkedIn, and we can actually find those key decision makers, build relationships with them, start getting them into your funnels. But it's not just about pushing out our content and message. Remember, that's why it's called social media, right? Social is about a two-way conversation. So social selling is also about engaging with your potential clients' content and it's not negotiable. All of your sales team members should be connected to your current clients and past clients, right? That's not even negotiable, right? They should be connected to them, because that's how, when they start sharing your company content or your content from your company pages, your brand starts becoming visible organically. It's free. Organic is free, right? So by activating your sales team and your employees, they can actually really help with this whole process, this whole building up the funnel. So that's where we can then actually, engage in getting them into an automated process, start building relationships, inviting them to like the page, getting them onto the website, and then the automated campaigns start, where you can actually score actions taken by your audiences. If they downloaded a tool, they would have a very specific message crafted to them. The automation process actually helps to give them the right information at the right stage where they are. When they're ready to make a decision, we give them pricing, we give them comparisons, we give them spec sheets, right? And that's where it's very, very important that we make sure that we have quality leads in our funnels and not just the quantity. Dylan, want to add on to that?
No. I'm a big fan of LinkedIn, and you can actually just spend your whole life just being a LinkedIn specialist. I love LinkedIn, and any B2B marketer needs to understand all of the options and opportunities on LinkedIn and how to use them, because there's a lot in LinkedIn. So once you've got all of this in place, there are companies like ourselves. We do appointment setting on behalf of our clients. So, there are companies that can, if you are absolutely desperate and you're not getting it, or you don't have a salesperson, appoint someone like Shift One to go and say, okay, I want 5, 10, 15 top quality marketing qualified lead appointments, like book the appointment for me. And that is an option as well out there. If you're like, listen, I need sales and I need them now. And as Irma said, if you know the lifetime value of your customer. So Sonia, you were a bit surprised at what Irma was prepared to pay for a customer. You need to know the lifetime value of that customer. Don't look at just, okay, this month they cost me 1,000 Rand, but look at over, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. What's the lifetime value of that customer if they're paying you 1,000 Rand per month, and you can retain them for that period of time. Irma, talk to us a little bit and quite quickly, because we are pressed for time, about B2B influencer marketing. Is there such a thing as B2B influencer marketing?
Yeah, absolutely. Influencer is just a blanket term, but influencers can be different things. They can be subject matter experts in your industry. They can be those, specialists in your company who know the product back to front, right? And that's where they can actually, the definition of an influencer is someone whose opinion is respected, and their followers and their audiences will actually take note and act upon their recommendation. So in a B2B space, this is where we collaborate with subject matter experts, right? People who know what they're talking about, and we can utilize them in different ways, either internal subject matter experts, or we can, have guests and other industry influencers that we can work with. But that's where you need to be really clear, do some research, find the right people who speak to your audience in the language that you need them to speak to. And this can happen in the way of webinars, interviews, guest blogging. There are multiple ways that we can actually reach out to these subject matter experts and get the expertise in front of our audiences. So please go and find those experts in your industry, get them in front of your audiences, because they can actually help build the reputational value of your content and your company.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's it. Dylan, anything to add with influencers?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, remember, everything that is created is an asset. And it lives forever. So videos, podcasts, all of these little assets that get created are assets you can recycle and constantly be reusing and resurfacing and embedding here and embedding there and putting out there and writing something about it. So it's these assets that get created. And so the collaboration is key. Don't try and force your ideas on them. Be open. I think definitely look into that. And as Irma said, events and webinars is definitely a very good place to be in terms of B2B lead generation. I find a lot of expos some of our clients just do so well in expos. They get most of their orders at expos. Others, go to an expo and it's absolutely dead and they get nothing. So if you're going to an expo, try and be a speaker. Try and get the video, because then you've got that asset. Share about who you're meeting the whole time. Do live tweeting, do live LinkedIning while you're there. Say, I'm meeting this person, met that person. Do some live events and some video. Get some energy going. Make sure you have the right people on the stand. It isn't easy to make an expo convert. You need the right animal. You need a sales animal. Like when I go to an expo, I'm actively, when I'm on a stand, I'm actively reaching people. I go to expos and I see like a little cluster of employees sitting, talking to each other. They've got a coffee machine and a bowl of sweets. That's not how it works. You've got to actively be reaching people, pulling them in, and pre-set up meetings. You've got to really, really sweat that expo to get value out of it. That's why I'm a big fan of webinars, because I think that webinars are a little bit easier to manage and a heck of a lot more cost effective. But webinars are a great way to showcase your expertise. Hello, look at what we're doing now. Create a schedule of webinars. Invite your subject matter experts, as Irma said, into your webinars. Get your internal subject matter experts to speak. Have a little program around your webinars where you write an article afterwards. You embed the video, create social content, create little snippets from the video. So really sweat that asset that you've created in that recorded video and really make it work hard for you. And here's a very good list of why people don't come on webinars, and make sure that you definitely look at it. The other way to do this is you could host live events on LinkedIn. That's a slightly different strategy and different results than doing a Zoom webinar. Both have different tactics and different ways of working. And at the end of the day, you should be doing something to showcase your expertise and build this ecosystem of training and learning and investment in your customer, because you want your customers to succeed. And a webinar isn't to showcase your expertise, it's to help your customers succeed. So if you have this helper mindset, how can I help my customer with this main need that they have? Let me teach them how to do this better. That is your main motivation when you're hosting an event, is I want you to succeed. You're a customer success manager at the end of the day. Irma, very, very quickly, talk to us about after the sale.
Yeah, so the relationship doesn't stop there. After the sale, we actually want to turn our customers into advocates. Happy customers spread the word on our behalf. So that's where we want to actually keep on building the relationships, right? Cross-selling, upselling. Very clearly, as Dylan said earlier, what is the lifetime value of your customers? Do you know what that is, right? And how can you help them to upgrade? Or maybe their contracts are coming to an end, or their subscriptions are coming to an end. And that's where marketing doesn't stop at that sale, right? We need to keep on giving value, keep on building relationships, keep our customers loyal, because we know it costs 10 times more to get a new customer on board than actually, just maintaining an existing customer. So thanks, Dylan. If you could just click to the next slide for us. So it's very important after the sale, make sure that you have automation in place. Very important again, when there's an anniversary happening or a milestone in terms of your customers, reach out to them, send them a automated mailer, right? Make sure that you follow up constantly, make them feel valuable, make them feel like the individuals that they are. So after the sale, it's very important to make sure that you have, keep them up to date with what is happening. Are there new developments in your industry or new products? So it's very important to be really clear about how your marketing can support your customer service, right? Marketing can really support the engagement and turning your customers into those advocates that we need them to be. So a quick tool, very effective tool, is the Success Plan Canvas. You can download them. There are quite a lot of them available, but this will give you a high-level overview of all of the aspects that we need to take into consideration to keep our customers happy after that sale happened, and craft the right content and messages for them. Yeah, so also then remember that the things that are important to your customers are definitely the ones listed on the screen. This is based on a KPMG survey that was done in a B2B industry, but your clients' key areas may be different. So what are those things that are important to them? Keep working on them. Listen to their conversations online and keep marketing, building relationships via marketing channels with these audiences. Make it easy for them to want to engage with your business.
Can I just jump in there, Irma? So often as a marketer, the first thing that we want to do is discount our price to get more customers. But do you see pricing is last on this list? Pricing is not the reason why people are with you. They are with you because you solve a need. Remember what we keep banging on about. You solve a need and you deliver quality. So what we as marketers and what our key account managers, our strategic marketers that handle our accounts are constantly sweating is what is value to our clients, and are we delivering on that? That is our main thing. We are customer success managers. Our customer success is what keeps us awake at night. Are we delivering success to our clients? And you can see there, it's about quality and value. People want to know that your product is solving this need for them. So if you understand what their need is and how your product meets that need, you can constantly communicate to your existing customers to say, existing customers, this is how we solved your needs today. Did you know that we delivered XYZ for you? So you can send up these highly personalized mailers, as Irma was saying, to existing customers, so a new segment, and you say, we did this for you, our product did this for you, just as a reminder. So that's definitely something to bear in mind. Irma, your second passion in life is Google Analytics. Do you want to tell us about tracking and metrics and analyzing the data?
Yeah, before I do, I just want to quickly address Don's comment in the or question in the comments. Thanks, Don. The source is 4 years old, right? And yes, certainly COVID have changed a few things. That's that KPMG slide we just had before this one. But definitely the same things still matter to people. I think COVID actually made it a lot more evident that the human side, the customer service side, the relationship building side of businesses are still key. So definitely delivery, speed to delivery is a big requirement, and it differs for industries, right? These surveys are often very generic and general, but it may be slightly different to your audience. That was a SA source. So, the data, we take data from different sources. We're going to give you a list of sources of where to find up-to-date information, Don. But you are right. Things do change, but some things remain constant. Right, thanks. So let's just, and maybe Amartya, you can just put in the link to the annual data report in there from We Are Social, but there are a few sources that we will share with you in an email after this. Thanks, Don. Now,
yeah, sorry, because a lot of people are asking us, is the data South African? We're not just South Africans on the call. We're not just a South African agency. We're a global agency. We have a lot of global people sitting on the call, as well as we have a lot of global clients. So the data, sometimes we just go with the USA data because it is kind of a representation of the the trend that we see even in South Africa. And sometimes we find that America is a little bit ahead in terms of some of their marketing. Sometimes they're not, sometimes they're behind. But yeah, we find the data that we think, is pretty much backs up what we're trying to say and what our experience has been. Thanks, Data. Donna, it would be great if you could share that data with us. It would be awesome.
And data goes together with measurement, right? So that's where your metrics and measurement is crucial, absolutely critical. And I often see this neglected with our clients because if you don't measure, you don't know what is working, right? And that's where it's super important to use all of the sources of data that you have available internally. Speak to your sales team. They have valuable sales data that can help the marketing team. Speak to your customer service team. Speak to your support team, right? And that's where we can actually then measure, not just the vanity metrics, right? And this is such a cliche, but it's so true. Very often the executive team wants the volume because that's what they understand. But those are not always the metrics we should focus on. We should be very clear. What are we actually trying to achieve? And then how are the different channels supporting the different objectives? So you cannot achieve all of your lead generation objectives with one channel, right? It's always an integrated approach. And that's why measurement is absolutely key. So find those data specialists in your company, know which metrics to focus on, so that's where we can then measure, right? What are we prepared to pay per lead, right? But also remember that awareness campaigns is about volume. When we're trying to create awareness in the market about a new product or a new service, as an example, we want as many eyes as possible onto our content. So the metrics will be different. And that's where, it's very important. Thanks, Dylan. If you could just take us to the next slide. Also to be very clear about your customer lifetime value. What are the peaks and lows in your company? What is a customer worth? Typically, what is the life cycle of a customer, and how, or the lifetime of a customer, and how do we optimize on that? How do we turn these customers into advocates? So very, very important to get the sales data to understand from a lead generation perspective. I asked the question yesterday, I keep referring back to my client yesterday, but it was a classic example. What is the closing ratio? If I give you 50 leads, how many of those leads are actually closed into sales? He didn't know, right? I said, but that's one of the key questions. How can you then measure your metrics if you don't know what your closing ratio is? Right. So that's why it's very, very important to understand what your retention values are of your customers, where to focus your efforts, right? We often focus on getting new customers on board, but we need to look at retention as a very, very important and key metric. Right. Yeah. So also, sorry, yeah, Dylan?
If I can just jump in as well and say, as a marketer, be on top of, every single step in the funnel. If I go back and, we just look at how the data builds the funnel, know where your drop off is, because there may be things out of your responsibility that impact sales, and you're getting beaten on the head with a stick saying, where are the sales? But at the end of the day, it's not your sales, your staff member who does for example, the follow up on the leads on the call that reports to somebody else. And that's actually where the big drop off is happening. So make sure you see those reports of the people who are making the sales, that you sit in and that you are fully on top of the full funnel from beginning to end. Because if you're getting beaten with a stick saying, where are the sales? Make sure you know where the drop off is happening, and make sure you're on top of that and sweating every single touch point and every single funnel stage, so that you can try and, fix the holes in the leaky bucket and basically get as much down through the pipe at the bottom at the end of the day.
Just want to add one thing, Dylan, there. Ask your sales team, what does a qualified lead look like? We often run lead generation campaigns, but then, we produce leads, but they may not be the right quality or the right level of lead. So speak to the sales team. That age-old war between sales and marketing needs to disappear, right? The marketing team actually needs to get all of the information they need from the sales team. Ask your sales team, what does a qualified lead look like? Because then our campaigns will become, and our marketing content and our messaging will become much more effective.
Yeah, agreed. Thank you so much, Irma. So today we've covered the 12 steps to effective B2B lead generation. We looked at the most important thing. Don't do anything until you've understood your audiences and got a clear and compelling message, so that you can go and create compelling content that addresses the needs. You've optimized your website, because that's ground zero. Everybody checks out your website first thing, and there are some horrific websites still out there. And website design changes probably every 3 years. It drastically changes. And even a website that's 3 years old or 5 years old is already looking outdated and old and dusty, and you're being left behind in the dust by your competitors. Definitely make compelling, amazing social media content using the right channels, the right message, targeting the right audiences with the right needs-based messaging. Definitely have your email marketing in place to pull people down the funnel. Be harvesting those email addresses, clean up that data, send out great emails based on people's individual needs or where they are in the funnel. Make sure your SEO is in place. SEO is your best friend, sweating for you all the time, trying to bring customers in. Switch on your ads. As Irma said, you can run this, you can, switch on your ads first. First thing, let's say you're desperate. Sometimes I say to my clients, okay, you're desperate, I'm going to switch on ads now. But just be aware, it's very ineffective, and we're going to be spending a lot of money. That's going to be a lot of wastage, because once we've done all of this optimizing, we're going to have to go back and refine your ads. But at least you'll see how the cost per lead goes down and how their conversions go up. But if you're desperate for it and you're happy to spend a little bit of money on wasted ads, we can switch your ads on earlier. Definitely
money for you.
Yes, exactly. Definitely invest in some appointment setting. Look at who you can partner with B2B influencers. Be creative, create some funky events, and nurture your clients. Look after them after the sale, and be on top of your numbers. You're tracking your analytics, and technology is the thing that pulls all of this together in this happy little ecosystem of B2B lead generation. And then you should have at least started, and now it's about constantly optimizing and optimizing and optimizing and optimizing, because it's all about an ongoing process and sorry, my dog's barking, and consistent effort, adaptation, optimizations. You get everything in place, and then you sweat and sweat and sweat, and you look for your inefficiency. So it's definitely not a process. Any questions that you haven't already asked? Thank you, Tanya. Thank you for joining us. It was very, very fast because there's a lot of content, a lot of content to cover. And I apologize for speaking so quickly. We will have the video out for you, so you can watch it at a slower pace and at your own pace, and you can pause and think and speculate and contemplate. And we will be sending out the video later. But if you haven't already signed up for our mailing list, definitely be signing up for our amazing mailing list. Thank you, Carmen. Thank you so much, Irma, for joining us again. And just remember that if we can help you with any of your B2B marketing, we are there for you, even if it's just running your strategy workshop, your messaging workshops for you. And we can also train you on everything, especially the new Google Analytics. If you are not up to speed on how to use it, we can also train you on AI, Google Analytics, and help you get set up. Thank you, everybody. Do reach out to us if you need us for anything. And I wish you all the best out there. And may the floodgates of heaven open and lots of leads come pouring in once you apply all these amazing tools and tricks.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining. Thanks, Dylan.
Bye.